It is.
Kentucky. Break it down, Dean. Tell us about Kentucky Wildcats.
Let me put on. This is very interesting, y'all. I've got to go after this. I told Matt, but I'm not going to rush through this though. All right, Kentucky football. But I'm going to go over everything, and I think Matt and y'all will find this pretty interesting. But I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's going to make a difference. I do think they're going to be a little better, but not a lot, and I'll explain that. They went 7-6 last year, lost to Clemson in the bowl game. We watched that. Yeah, that was a very good game. It was a good game. They had the most production returning in the SEC.
Wow.
They've got 18 starters back.
Wow.
18.
That's a good problem.
Transfers in.
And I just told you how many they just got in a good group in.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Here's Vandergriff, Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia QB.
Trip Trainum, Ohio State. He's rushed for 1,000 yards in his career at Ohio State. Excuse me. Christian Story, Bama. Gerald Mincey, 13 starts, coming in on that O-line.
Mm-hmm.
Jamori Macklin coming in from North Texas, 1,000 yards receiving last year.
Good.
And this is the one I don't understand. I'll have to read up more on this. Jamon Dumas Johnson. He started at Georgia when they won it.
And what position is he?
He's a linebacker.
Huh.
Are they bringing in that much talent that these starters having to leave and go play for Kentucky?
Well, they've been number one like last 2 years.
He made 64 tackles on the national championship team.
Wow.
Man.
And they got their quarterback and their lead linebacker. Interesting.
All right. And last but not least, 2 quarterbacks, one from Rutgers.
Oh, yeah.
He started 13. He's made 13 starts.
See, it's good experience.
Okay. Returners, 8 on offense, 10 on defense, Matt.
Wow. Hey, look, this is why you hit the subscribe button. If you want to know what's going on in college football, especially SEC, come here every week. Maybe it even ain't your favorite team, but knowing this helps you look at a schedule and go,
That's great. Okay, listen to this. All 5 offensive line. Well, they got 4 starters back, but they got this kid from Tennessee who's made 13 starts. That's like another starter.
Yeah.
Barry and Brown, 36 yards of kick return, led the SEC last year, 41 catches. Dane Key, 42 catches.
Yes.
Both tight ends are back. Now, where they are not strong is running back. They don't have depth there, and they're not sure about quarterback.
Who was that guy they had last year?
Why? No, what is his thing?
Jacob
Smith Davis.
Yeah, Jacob said he was great. He went up there and said,
yes, right. What did they call him?
Come from Rutgers or somewhere and went out west.
Then went to Vanderbilt. Ray Davis. Yes, he's a big loss.
Yeah.
But they're hoping this guy from Ohio State will make up for that.
I think so. I mean,
all right, man, this
it don't sound bad. 10 back on defense.
Well, listen to all this crap. I mean, and I'm not talking.
And I just told you they ranked in the top 20 or 5 or 6 on Portal.
This is De'Aaron Johnson back, 89 tackles. Edge rusher J.J. Weaver, 15 tackles for a loss, back. Deion Walker, defensive tackle, best in the country, top 5. 20 tackles for a loss, 51 quarterback pressures. He's back. Johnson transfers in. The best name in college football is back, Octavius Oxendine.
Say that name fast 5 times.
Defensive end, all their secondaries back. I feel bad for Christian Story because they're loaded. He may be the nickel back.
He's come from Bama. He played down here.
He did. Lynette, wasn't
Lynette, yeah.
They've got one of the best. They've got one of the best, top 5, no doubt, defensive linemen back in the country. Got one of the best linebackers in the conference. And this kid, what's his name? Maxwell Harrison, 68 tackles, 5 picks, 2 pick sixes. All right. And that sounds great, doesn't it, Matt? Both safeties back, both corners, outside linebackers, both nose guards. Wow. Not even the one that started, the one that comes in for him. Both tight ends, the sub. They're loaded. They're absolutely loaded.
So Stoops he did the hardball and said, guys, you want to know why Michigan won it? This is why.
Okay. But
they're not going to have the schedule that Michigan had, it looks like.
Let's go over this. Well, that starts out easy enough. Southern Miss.
Brett Favre.
Okay. Then you got South Carolina. That's not going to be easy. Then you get Georgia.
And where's Georgia game?
All of them are at home.
Because they're going to open at home with these three.
Okay. Then they got Ohio at home. Their
Bobcats.
first 4 games are at home.
Bobcats, Ohio.
Okay. Here's where it gets bad. At Ole Miss. Back at home against Vandy. At Florida, the Swamp. Auburn at home. At Tennessee. Murray State at home. At Texas. So they got Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas on the road. And Auburn and Georgia and South Carolina at home. And then they got to play Louisville because that's a rival game. I think it's I think it's a very difficult schedule. Now, breaking into this, let's say I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they get those first 2. They're not going to beat Georgia. I think that's a L. I don't think they're going to beat Texas down there. I'm giving them an L there. Somebody told me, they said, Ole Miss is a toss-up, man. You just can't count them out on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking about
this Kentucky team's going to be good. This is going to be the best Kentucky team we've seen. It may be the best Kentucky team we've seen as far as talent. He could get in trouble if this team don't do. I think he's great, don't you?
Yes.
He could get in trouble if this bunch don't do good. He could actually be like, I don't know about Stoops no more. If they go 6-7 or 7-6,
done.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they're big on fire. I would be. I'm not even.
But even as good as they're going to be, Matt, I'm thinking 8-4, 9-3.
I think at best they can win 10 games.
I do think at absolute best, 10.
Because one of those what if they? God, that's a lot of players back, dude.
Dude, they've got. Okay, they say they've got 10 starters back on defense. No, they've got they got 12 starters back on defense because they got the guy from Georgia, and they got the backup nose guard back. He got as many snaps as the starter.
Those away games, the tough away games are who?
You got Ole Miss, bit staggered. Then you got to go to the Swamp. Then you got to go to Tennessee. And last but not least, you got to go to Texas.
Okay, so those 4, if they win 2 of those 4, that'd be 10-2.
2 of those 4, but then they still got Georgia. They got Georgia at home.
Well,
they're going to have to pull something out of their hat.
Yeah, they'll have to because, if you go, back, Tennessee's going to be good. They're going to be a handful. I did them last week. Well, if you missed that one, go back last week's show. We talked about Tennessee. I don't know. Yeah.
They say this is one of the best receiving corps in the country. Not the conference, the country.
Receivers?
Yes. This Barry and Brown and Dane Key and this guy that's come in. But do you like Vandergriff?
I do.
They say he's going to have a field day.
Coming out of high school, I want him at Bama.
He don't have any pressure on him because this line's just ridiculous. Did you know their tight ends coach is the highest paid tight ends coach in the country or one of them?
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
That sounds like
a national championship squad.
It does. Now, if you listen, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
If you would have said all that and I said, well, now what team is that? And you said Alabama, and you'd go,
oh, yeah, they got it.
They may win another one.
Yeah.
But so why do we think that they may not be able to win the conference or win 10? We're not even letting them win 10 because they're Kentucky.
Because it's Kentucky. We're thinking that maybe these players, they've got the experience, but they didn't come in. They're not 4 and 5 stars. They do have the experience.
That don't always matter.
It doesn't.
Not all the time.
But what you're saying, I know what you're saying here, is this De'Eric Jackson, this middle linebacker for them. He's great. But he's probably not even close to as good as Alabama's middle linebacker. Is that possible?
Well, and their schedules are pretty close.
Yeah. So we can find out.
They play a lot of the same teams.
I just know in the past.
They don't play each other, though.
Kentucky's fantastic, and then they play Georgia, and they just run them off the field. Alabama played them one year. It wasn't even close.
So
they were good.
They don't play Bama this year.
No.
But we got Ole Miss winning at least 11.
I think
what do y'all
8-4, 9-3.
Yeah, that's what Jeff's got. Jeff's got a Kentucky tied to SEC title in the year I was born, 77. That was stripped.
All I'm saying is, and I think that's why people don't have them because their starters coming back aren't as elite as some other team starters coming back. I mean, but this Barry and Brown and Dan Key are the real deal. These receivers are.
Now, the receiving core at Tennessee, I went over last week.
They're not as good as White and McCoy. Now, that Barry and Brown might be. 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns.
That Burt kid at Oklahoma, remember I told you last week on my surprise list?
Yeah.
That transferred in.
I don't know. Jeff, I don't think, from what I read, Kentucky's receivers, no, they're not considered as good as Tennessee's.
I don't think so.
No, not as McCoy and Squirrel. Yeah. No, they're not as explosive. Brown is, but Key's not.
Yeah, Brady McCoy. And they had another one, too, I had on there.
No, there was 3. And I don't know. It's just, but no depth at running back. I don't like that.
Well,
I don't like that. But somebody may step up.
Well, that's what happened to Georgia last year. See, didn't have a running game. But they got ETN this year.
And Kentucky had Ray Davis back with this guy from Ohio State coming in. They'd have been tough now, and they may still be.
I'm just really. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad you broke them down.
That's unreal.
They got to be able to win 10.
So they got 18 starters coming back, but in reality, they've got about 21 starters coming back. 22. The guy from Georgia started. The guy from Tennessee started at transfer.
These are not portal guys that come in and they're wanting to come to Kentucky because they didn't get to play where they were.
No, this guy started on Georgia's national championship team, which scares me because he's decided to hit the road. And he might not have got along with Smart or Wilson Muschamp or, he's made 100 tackles for Georgia. I don't know.
Now,
and this is going to sound real crazy, and I'm fixing to have to take off. Any chance they go 11-1?
If you would have not said Kentucky and would have said Alabama in front of that team, most people watching would have said, yeah, Alabama, they'd probably win 11 because of the staff. So,
the staff's good. Their staff is good. They've got that Liam Cohen. They love him.
What staff's Bama had in the past 3 or 4 years?
True.
Since they won that 2020 title, since then, 21, they ain't really had no coaches. They've had people just running in and out.
Even people from Kentucky will tell you, he goes, yeah, but Kentucky's great players aren't as good as Alabama's great players.
Well, but most people's in the countries ain't.
Right.
Just in general. But Kentucky's players are
they can have a Missouri type year from last year.
Yes. They're as good as Kentucky. They're as good as Missouri's players.
Yes.
Those players are probably better than the guys they got at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about Arkansas when we'll compare them to blue blood teams of the SEC.